I mean, yeah. So he goes by. He's Mr. Cop. So does he put on makeup before he molests the horse?
Hey, there's a guy who used to live here who used to slash. What did you say? Were you going to slash the price? Or you slash the price?
You know what? I just put that together just now. Rip, torn.
Oh my god! Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. The movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that makes the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. And I wanted to start our 3-year anniversary with that because I listened to a promo from 3 years ago today when we're recording this, which is March 10th. Our 3-year anniversary is on Monday, March 14th. And I said the same thing. It's insane. We used to do it backwards. So before we get this started, I got to introduce you to, for the last 3 years, my co-pilot on this sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to see what the next 3 years bring. I mean, I can't even believe we made it 3 years. And
that's commitment.
I can't believe that we even had a promo back then.
I made one and it sounds so bad. But I said what they got right, what they got wrong, how it could have been better. And I'm like, wow, it's so cool. And I think that's what works for us. So we're going to get into I don't know if we're going to name him the Sequeies. Maybe that's a pretty good idea. And it sounds like a disease from the 30s.
Yeah, I don't think I like
the
that.
Sequeies.
No,
I was dating this girl the other night, and I hooked up with this girl, from down the block, and she gave me the Sequeies.
Sequeies can sound pretty good, though.
Say it in a nice way.
I met this girl the other night, and just the whole night long, she gave me the Sequeies.
Okay. Oh my god!
Yikes! Listen, you know what? I think either way, Sequeies is not gonna. I don't think it's gonna stick.
Okay. It's a placeholder for nothing that I'm gonna edit out, so that might be it. But no. So what we wanted to do is spend 15-20 minutes, looking back on 3 years. The leather anniversary, and really thinking about an idea that came from a text message. Well, and both of our loves for how did this get made? We wanted to do our own thing, but we basically said hey, it's got to be different. And we stuck to our guns. We never covered a non-sequel. We've never covered a sequel that I didn't personally interview somebody that worked on it. And I think that is what stands the test of time with us and our listeners, that we have this format that works and we do it no matter what.
And it does. And I have to give you credit because I have tried a few times to throw in a non-sequel and you stuck to your guns and you said, no, sequels only. So, I have to give you credit for sticking, because if it wasn't for you sticking your guns, I think I would have slid in a non-sequel here and there.
Well, speaking of sequels only, sequelsonly.com. Follow us on Twitter at sequels only and wherever you're at on social media. But no, I think that was something I was because you have to have this uniqueness. You don't want to stray from, and it's worked, and people love that listeners. There's so many listeners that I'm going to put in a thank you thing in the episode notes. And I think it's with them too, that we're covering these sequels that they've never heard of or they haven't heard of in years. And it brings that nostalgia factor back for them.
Well, I think also the fact that we do get people from the movies, anybody can do a podcast, right? Anyone could, or at least try to do a podcast. And I'm sure there's other podcasts that cover sequel movies. And anyone could talk about a movie. But when you start bringing people that were involved in the movie and you hear stories about it, that changes the whole dynamic. And that to me makes it so special that I really don't think anyone out there does it like this. And
no one.
No one. So I think that's a big part of it. And I think it's awesome. I mean, I never expected in 3 years to get some of the people that we did. So it just shows you just the hard work that, really, we both put in, but what you put in and how we get this. I mean, it's awesome.
Well, thank you. No, it's a team effort because I don't know if I would have that same drive if I didn't have someone else as excited. Like when we have like, not like we have like a gravitas that people will be like, oh man, I want to do that show. Just we were smart about it, planning ahead. But then also, I think there are some people that are like, when we reach out to them, it's not like they know who we are, but they see like, oh, they talked to blank, blank, and blank. They're like, I just got done, talking with Patrick Yamuki from the next sequel that we're reviewing, Ghoulies Go to College. And we've talked to so many people that he worked with and respect. So for him, maybe he was going to do it no matter what. Or he was like, oh man, they worked with blank, blank, and blank. Oh, I worked with them.
Well, I think I think we're at the point now that we can actually name drop, and which is pretty cool. In the beginning, and again, it shows you where we started from. When we first started doing this, we had nobody. So we actually got humble people that came, that were willing to, be interviewed when we didn't even have anyone we've interviewed before. And they still were willing to do it. So, give a lot of credit. And, yeah.
So let's get into the Sequeies. 3 years. We have a certain amount of categories because we want this, you're listening to this on Monday on your drive to work, a little 15-20 minute chunk of sequel talk. And I guess where do we start? What's your first category? Do you want to pick?
I'm going to go with the most annoying character that we've covered.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I think you're going to know who I picked. And we have watched a lot of movies.
Wait, before you mention that.
Yeah.
But I think I found a character that might be more annoying than Alan.
Hey, Bella, your ass stinks!
Is it one of those or is it a recent one? Is it Julio?
You know what? It's funny that you showed that clip because I am going to go with Brian Ryan.
Ryan.
And okay, so Brian by far, and to me, as annoying as Alan was in Sleepaway Camp 2, I found him kind of funny. That line, your ass stinks. I found it kind of funny after a while. It just to me, Brian was the most annoying. He was an overactor in such a bad movie. He just. Again, I wanted him to die in the movie, and he never died. It's like one of those characters where he just took up too much screen time. And to me, the fact that I was calling him Ryan the whole time, and you had to correct me, that wasn't a gimmick. I really thought his name was Ryan. So that shows you how little I cared about him.
So I'm trying to think. Alan is definitely the first one that comes to mind. I don't know if there's another one that we've covered that is even for me personally in the realm of like, oh, I wish they were like not in the movie or. So I have to go with Alan.
Wow,
and he was like the final boy.
Yeah, it's funny. Those are the two names that came up multiple times through a lot of our reviews.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm not surprised those are the two finalists.
Okay. So sticking with characters,
okay.
We just talked about least favorite or most annoying. Do you have a favorite character?
I do, and it's actually a recent movie. I'm going with Alan. I'm going with Alan in The Hangover 3. To me, he controlled that whole movie. I think in the whole series alone, Alan was so funny in every single. I don't think there was a scene that Alan was in that Zach Galifianakis was in that was not funny. And I think without him, the movie is not as funny. And I think anyone could play the other roles. I don't think anyone else could have played Alan the way Zach Galifianakis did. So I have to go with Alan as my favorite character we covered.
Wow, that is good. So I wish I could have like two Sequeies to get out, but I think honestly my favorite one, I think it's the connection too with it, is nobody's as mean as Gene. Mean Gene for Meatball Story being like one of our first sequels that we ever covered, and in the top first 5 interviews I ever did. There's nothing that beats that for me, because his character, the fact that he threw a blind guy who was supposedly looking at his sister, but you think it's his main squeeze because he says, "Stop staring at my main squeeze, Shannon Tweed," but it's really his sister, which is weird. But just the way he just throws a blind guy and his dog out of a window.
You know, and again, he's another character that in the movie, you take him out, that movie, you know, it falls flat. He definitely makes that. I'm surprised you didn't go with Charles Bronson.
Oh, Paul Kersey. And I guess, honestly, the second one in my head was Terry Silver.
No, that, you know what? Honestly, I didn't think about that, but now I'm surprised you didn't go with Terry Silver, because you do love him.
He all he cares about is clearing his calendar so he can torment a teenager. That is the plot of that movie.
No, it's all, you know, he's definitely up there for like a second favorite character.
Yeah, no, he's up there. So Mean Gene, George Buza, who I sent, if you're watching on a video, I made a shirt that a very hot blonde in the movie that was wearing the same shirt. Nobody is as mean as Gene. I made this shirt not realizing how much it costs to ship stuff to Canada. The shirt was $20 and then ended up costing $35 to ship it. But you know what? This was a movie in his career. He voiced Beast on X-Men, the animated series. This movie had such a sentimental value during the interview because I was so green at doing it. And he like opened up thinking about of having his Harley, living in his trailer, and the parties he used to throw on set that he loved. So
I always feel like his character of Mean Gene was the way he was in real life. Like he was just a fun, just, you know, beer drinking, fun guy.
Yeah.
Although he's probably not sleeping with his sister in real life.
Yeah, that was so weird. So what's next? I want to save aha moment.
Okay.
For a little bit later.
Okay.
So what do we got next?
Well, let's go with, what was your favorite sequel that we did?
Favorite sequel that we have done. Wow. So me personally, and I think because I told you, and to be honest with you, like my white whale of a sequel, I have a few, and one I am gonna get somebody for it. Return of the Killer Tomatoes is like a white whale sequel of mine too. But my first one was Death Wish 3. Like, I love that movie. I watched it with my dad on WPIX so many times as a kid, which is a different movie when you watch it with all the stuff in it. Like but that was one movie. The fact that you were able to get, I think within a week, you know, the Giggler, Kirk Taylor, which is going to be part of another answer that I have later. He's going to get a sequel. So I'll send him maybe two. Maybe he gets two sequels. But I would have to say Death Wish 3. I think overall, just everything involved with it for me.
That's awesome. And, you know, I got to tell you, I mean, I have to thank you because I never seen any of the Death Wishes until we did the podcast. So, yeah. So, yeah. And yeah, you know what? Getting the Giggler. It's funny. Anyone I talk to about Death Wish, they all mention the Giggler. Like, he's such an iconic character. And, you know, he's not even in the movie that long, but he had such a presence that everybody remembers that character. So it's pretty awesome. So I'm going to go with Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. And you know, to me, it's one of the few sequels that is better than the original, I think.
100%.
And I've seen that movie so many times. It's a movie that if it's on TV, I'm going to watch it again. I can quote almost every line in the movie. Every scene is funny. And, you know, it's just the overall, like, one of Jim Carrey's, I think, best, you know, movies he did. And, you know, I go with, you know, like, even though Die Hard 2 is up there, I don't know if I watch it as many times as Ace Ventura, you know?
Yeah.
So I go with Ace Ventura.
I would say out of all the sequels, because I think we're on, pretty sure this would be like 79 or 80, maybe, when Ghoulies comes out next. But honestly, there's only been a couple, which I know we're going to get into worse ones soon. There's only been really a couple that were like really hard to trudge through. But other than that, like, you're right, like the Die Hard 2, the Rambo, even like
X-Men
2.
And that was almost up there with Ace Ventura. X-Men 2 is awesome. So, like, it was almost up there with that one.
And Friday the 13th. Have an opportunity to cover like the best in the franchises that we've covered, like the Friday the 13th Part 4. Halloween 4 is a great Halloween movie. And again, another one for me, a Hallmark movie, Jason Takes Manhattan. That is like USA Up All Night, Rhonda Shear. Like that is part of my childhood. And the fact that we were able to, now looking back on, the first person I talked to for that was Michael Benyere, who played one of the thugs in the city. And then a couple months later, then the writer, I should have all their names up. Tiffany Paulson, Susie Donaldson, boom. And then just the fact that Ken Kirzinger, who was Kane's double in that movie, stunt coordinator. And then even, I'm trying to think who I just talked to not that long ago that had like a really small, the guy for Purge Anarchy. He had like a very small role. He played like trainer. But all these people that are connected to that movie is just phenomenal.
And we got like the stars, a lot of them. And what's cool, again, I'm not a horror fan and I've watched a lot of horror movies. We've actually we've interviewed Leatherface and Jason.
Yeah.
So my white whale is trying to get Robert. I've been trying to get him, we obviously need a Michael Myers and a Robert, and we're set. So, we'll see. Maybe even Pinhead. I've been trying to get him too.
Maybe get Pinhead, but we did get the Chattering Cenobite. So
we did.
So we got that going for us.
Pretty cool. All right. So worst sequel. I think we might be on the same page.
I think we are going to be on the same page. Are you thinking recent?
I'm not giving you my clues yet.
Well, I'm going to say the worst sequel. Like, just thinking back of, maybe it's because it was really early on, but it's funny. It's our first sequel, Son of the Mask. Because I really think back, there was only like one redeeming quality of that movie.
Oof. Was
the neighbor that turned into a nose, and it was the nosy neighbor. I don't remember anything else other than the dog trying to kill the kid.
That's a bold pick. It really is, because, yes, in the beginning, it was the worst movie for a long time. I mean, it carried itself, for a while. But going through Terror Tunes, going through Talking Pony, going through Mirror Mirror, I don't think The Mask is that bad compared to those three. So, I had a tough choice between those three. I mean, Terror Tunes is such a bizarre movie. It's bad. It's pretty bad, but it just, Mirror Mirror for me. It's a recent movie. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And again, I really didn't like Talking Pony, but I have to go Mirror Mirror. It was just a bizarre movie. It was stupid and really bad acting. So, and I really think there's no script in that movie. So,
none.
I have to go Mirror Mirror.
No, that's definitely up there. No, and then, like, again, Talking Pony, I think it was funny when we talked about that. When we talked about that movie, obviously it's a horse in the movie, a different horse on the cover of the poster, which is insane. But the movie, like when you're watching the movie, it really wasn't like, it was almost like, wow, they did this in like 72 hours. They shot this movie. And there was some things that were funny.
See, you look at it as, wow, they did it in 72 hours to make this movie. I'm looking at it as, whoa, they wasted 72 hours to make this movie. There's nothing you can tell me that will make me feel better about the movie. The movie was
no. Your idea of the horse becoming a stand-up comedian.
Okay, but that's not the movie. Now, if that was the movie, then that changes things. But the fact that they, when you're watching a movie and they're showing the same scene over and over again as like the same clip, that shows you it's a bad movie. Like, they had no other idea to fill in that time, that they just decided, you know what? Let's just keep showing the horse running around in circles multiple times.
Okay. All right, next Sequeies up, because I think it was a good one you thought of, was a aha moment. What was the aha moment that you had?
So I think it has to be Airplane 2, Rip Torn. And think about we've known that name for. I mean, I've known that name forever. You know, he's in tons of movies.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've said his name, Rip Torn, so many times, and just in the middle, for whatever reason, why it made me think of Rip and Torn together. And then you paused for a second, and then you got like all excited, like because you couldn't believe it. It was such an aha moment for both of us.
It's a name you don't forget, Rip Torn.
Oh,
you know,
dude,
like
he's awesome.
Yeah. So, you know what? I just put that together just now. Rip Torn.
Oh my god!
That you never
I
got.
never did that.
I never did either. You told us now.
Oh my god, dude! I bet you nobody thinks that.
I never did. I've heard his name 1,000 times, and just the way you said it just now made me think of it. I'm like, I didn't realize that. How
So
crazy!
he's like, I'm gonna go by Rip, and then they're like, all right, what's a synonym for Rip? Torn. All right, Rip Torn.
That like and it's so and now you look at it, his name is so obvious, but you never like. I don't think anyone really thinks about it.
No.
You know?
It's
So
the same word. There's synonyms for each other.
So I wonder like if anyone who's listened to that clip were also like, holy cow, like it's Rip Torn. Like, yeah. So that was my favorite, you know, aha moment.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to space it out because I think my favorite aha moment was in Meatballs 3. And you know what? His name's Rudy in this movie. Was Rudy in the first one? Was that the name of the kid in the first one?
No, that's you know what?
Oh my god, dude! Wait.
That's
Wait.
that's mind blowing. You know what? You might be right. The kid that ran the cross country.
Oh my god, dude! Is he the same kid?
No, it's not the same kid. It's definitely not the same kid. I mean, that's
No,
the same actor.
no. I'm saying, are they pretending it's?
You know what?
No. Oh
Yes,
shit,
his name is
dude!
Rudy.
Whoa!
His name is Rudy.
Holy crap! So wait, Patrick Dempsey is supposed to be Rudy, the kid that ran in the original movie.
Same name. That's crazy.
So that's how he knows. Oh,
That makes sense.
God.
That-
Dude, I'm
That's
so
amazing.
mind blown right now. And then we piece together that, oh my god, the kid from the first movie, Tripper gave him this. That movie, yeah. That
And you
movie
know what?
made no
I totally
sense to-
forgot about that one. That was our first aha moment, and that was
Yeah.
pretty big when that happened because we had no idea. No, that was a big one. That was a big one.
That was the craziest plot of any sequel we covered.
Oh.
I think the fact that a porn star, in order to get to heaven, had to get a kid.
Well, no, porn heaven.
Porn
it was,
heaven.
It was porn heaven. you know, I got to tell you, you know, it's funny because you know, again, these aha moments, they're off the cuff. Like they somehow come out when you're not even looking for it. It just, and I don't know why it makes like why it comes together like the way it does. You know, and,
Yeah.
and it happened to both of them. So yeah, I love aha moments, and I'm sure we're gonna have more. And I'm sure there's probably more that we just forgot about. That I'm sure there's got to be more because I don't know.
No, there's definitely been. You know, we've done like 80 sequels, so I'm sure other ones have come up. But no, those are like the Rip Torn one was that's top notch. I just think the Rudy one because it was like such a big character from the original movie that they shoehorned back
Yeah.
in there without us even thinking about.
Well, the way they did it, they didn't explain it well. So I don't think the average person is going to put two and two together. Like, and if
No,
we didn't,
especially
and
8 years later, 7 years later,
right? And if we didn't talk about it, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have figured that out. So yeah, so I have another one here. So favorite interview.
So favorite interview, like I'm gonna have to give out a couple sequels for this one. One is just because I think, you know, when we do this, when you do this, and I never thought I would get to this moment, like in life when you have like these connections with people, like when you lose like a loved one or someone close, it's like it's definitely gut wrenching, obviously, because you have those connections. But honestly, like when somebody tells you their story and you find out their life story, it's like Tiny Lister obviously is one, but like I think with him, people know him and he talks to people, and it's not like we went really in depth about like his young, because he was like shopping at Target and like buying a shirt. Still the coolest thing, him doing Debo voices to like employees and stuff. But Tim Lawrence was a guy that really didn't want to do the interview, and he was like one of the first people that emailed me back, and I just kept like bugging him, and he was like really a hard ass about it, like, all right, I'll do it 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, man. So I had my daughter who was like, man, 4 months at the time. I was like holding her, feeding her with the bottle in her mouth and doing this interview on my cell phone. And the fact that he passed away like later that year, man, that was like when I was told that by Steve Neal, special effects guy, he told me because he worked with him and he found out. And I was like, I was like so like taken back. I'm like, this guy who didn't want to talk, like told me his story. And his niece and brother like never knew about a lot of that stuff. And listen to that interview.
Well, what's cool about it is, again, he probably hasn't done a lot of interviews. Unfortunately, the people behind the scenes on movies, don't get a lot of the credit that they should, because their names are in the end of the movie, but who stays for the end of the movie credits? Like who's really paying attention? Who's reading those? So like, their stories never get out. And you were able to get his story, his career story out only a few months before he passed away. So yeah. I think it's actually kind of cool that you were able to get the story out and for people to hear, about his life, because otherwise, if he passed away sooner, no one would know, really who Tim Lawrence was. So you actually did a good thing, I mean, like you were able to.
I know. No.
So that's pretty cool.
It's the coolest thing.
Yeah,
no, I know. No.
It's very cool. So,
and then I have to say, like, the coolest thing that will be hard to ever top was the Death Wish 3 reunion with our Bronson brother, Chris Roush, at Bronson Tweets 9 on Twitter. And nothing beats that. Getting 3 of the nicest bad guys together, Alex Winter, Tony Spiridakis, Kirk Taylor, we interviewed before that, and just to get them together to talk Bronson on his 100th birthday and just behind the scenes stories that were just unreal. But no, that would be my Sequeies.
And you know what? That interview really was so fun to watch. I mean, let alone listen, but because they haven't seen each other in so long, and they were talking as if they still, like kids. And the fact that like they were laughing and getting excited about each story, remembering this, like it was very cool. And really, they took over the interview. Like it was just them. Like it was very cool. So that was very good.
I was flying the wall and I was loving it. I was just like sitting there with like popcorn. Well, not popcorn, but my face paint on. I was part of the gang for the day.
You felt cool for a little moment.
I love it. And now what do you got?
So I think you'd be surprised at my answer. So I have a kind of a two-parter. So the first one, you're going to be surprised by this, I think, but I think my favorite interview that you did was Fern Champion.
Oh, nice.
And
Fern.
I think, because she, first of all, she was an awesome person to hear her stories, but the way she was just so cool, the way she like joked around and just how she is, and like I just thought it was a very entertaining interview with her, and she was like just so cool. And I know everybody in Hollywood knows her, like she's such a big name, and I just think it was a fun interview. So I really like that one. But I have to give props out to 2 people, Vanessa Angel and Sean Kanan, just because those 2 interviews were also great, but away from the interview, they are the most humble people. I mean, every once in a while, I'll reach out to both of them, ask them what they're doing or, what's going on. And they respond right away. They talk, and they're so cool about just what we're doing. And, and I think that's awesome. You hear so many stories about people in Hollywood, how like stuck up they are. And, these 2 are so not, but in reality, really everybody you did interview has been humble. I mean, like everybody, I bet you there's every single person we interviewed, if we reached out to them just to say something to them, they would totally respond. And I think that's so cool. And I think that's, but I would say, those 2 are my favorite people that you've interviewed.
Yeah. And one that I fell in love with for an hour was Kathleen Kinmont. She was great. I love talking to her. But no, I would say 2 people in the same realm, like not like the same realm if I would reach out, but like Stuart Fratkin, Teen Wolf 2, and they came from outer space ski school. He would like reach out to me, like I would listen to that one. But Michael Benyere, second time I mentioned his name, he would listen and he's like, man, you're like doing like the inside baseball, like getting these people to tell their stories. And I'm like, man, that was so cool. And just for him to do it out of nowhere, like not like I messaged him first. So those are really cool things that were great. Besides listener feedback and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Well, I also want to add that, another favorite that really got us going when we realized that, it was more than just having fun. Like we're actually got something cool going is when you got William Sadler. To me, that was the starting point of just moving in a forward direction. We interviewed a lot of people before that, and they all were great. But William Sadler was the first, I would say, big name that we got. Big character. Like everybody, if you don't know his name, you definitely know his face. I mean, he was in so many iconic movies, and I think that was our jumpstart. So I would say that was one of the best interviews for our podcast.
I totally agree. And I would say like there's like so many along the way. All of them are great. But I would say Sadler, Robert Hayes,
Eric
Vernon Wells,
Eric
Roberts, and Eliza.
Yeah.
Just these people that were like these jumping points that other people were like, hey, man, they not even the fact that they would retweet it and share it with people, which was amazing. But other actors would be like, hey, because that's the most important thing. It's not like at the end of the day when you and I get to a certain amount of lists, we can't get bigger mansions than we have right now. It'd be like against the law. Maybe. Well, you think you can get a bigger mansion?
Oh, easily. Dude,
okay.
Your mansion could fit inside my mansion.
Oh, man.
But
you get a better agent.
No, yeah, I'm working with Fern.
Smart.
One thing I don't know if I'm thanking you or actually mad at you, but all these horror movies, I'm still not a horror fan, and I'm forced to watch a lot of these horrors. Again, I'm not sure I'm thanking you for making me watch movies I've never seen before that I have to, or breaking me into it, knowing that they're not as bad as I thought they would be, as in scary and gross. So.
Well, I'm happy that I showed you some of the ones that I'm surprised you never saw, like Halloween 4. But I'm sorry for Child's Play 3. That's probably the worst movie. I should have said that one.
No, again, it's listen, you're not going to get worse than Talking Pony and Mirror Mirror. So,
or a mirror bleeding. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I'd never seen any of the Halloweens. I never saw any of the Hellraisers. I never saw any of the Child Plays. So, this has definitely brought me into a whole new world. And I mean, our biggest fan base is definitely horror. So, the Texas Chainsaw, I never saw any of them. So yeah, it's definitely opened up a new world for me.
Before we finish this 3-year anniversary, we're thanking so many people. And obviously we want to thank the listeners, our guest reviewers, which are so many of them, like Egan, our horror expert, our action sequel expert, Andrew, I Got the Powers, our creature expert, Nick Sperdone, who's going to be on for the Ghoulies. And we have obviously Amy. I'm trying to think even the one-offs that we've had.
Gina. She's
our Karate Kid expert. And we made her watch Jason Goes to Hell when Jason is shaving a guy.
Her first Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's not a good one to start with.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but Tom Campanella, and there's probably a few other like one-offs along the way that we had people come. Oh, my buddy Tom. But I think the coolest one was Britney Amber, because we interviewed her. She shares us. She likes her stuff all the time. And she came on to do Hellraiser 2.
She's a big name. For her to do that, like this, to put the time aside and do that was awesome. And she was great. I mean, she really you could see sometimes, some people take a step back when they're doing an interview, but she was jumping right in there. She definitely knew her Hellraiser. I mean, she got into character. She had props. I mean,
her whole room. She had the box.
Yeah.
She had the box.
A doll box. I mean, yeah, she was awesome. Yeah. So for her to do that was great.
Wow. So 3 years, the leather anniversary. Next year's 4. I don't know what it is, but
wait, 3 years is leather?
Well, leather, I think, is traditional, and then the other ones are like, yeah. That's Hellraiser.
I'm surprised you didn't walk out as a gimp. So you should have wore the gimp outfit.
I should have. But no, so the next year we have a ton of great stuff. After the next sequel is going to be a great one. Ghoulies Go to College. But right after that, Aliens. great on the Mount Rushmore of sequels. So that'll be a lot of fun. And so many other ones. We're going to do a Sharknado movie, which I just thought about that when I was just talking to Patrick Leberto. I did not ask him about Sharknado 3 at all because we covered so many other things, but that's fine. So
have you ever seen a Sharknado?
I saw maybe the first one or the second one.
I have never seen any of them. So this is
well,
yeah.
That'll be good.
Well, I think it's the final Sharknado too. So is
that the one?
I think it is. So
This one's called Oh Hell No. Oh Hell No, is that the last one?
How many did they have? Like 5, 4?
I don't know. I don't know if you call the last one in the installment like Oh Hell No. I mean, I guess so. Like somebody's like, oh, we're doing another one. Oh hell no.
Right. And the fact that it's like the last one, I'm sure the budget's probably huge. And it's probably like the script is probably great, and it's probably be a fantastic movie to do. It's going to probably be a bottom 3 or top 3 worst movies that we've done. So I think it's going to. I think it's going to pass Son of the Mask. There's
going to be a ton of cameos in it, and
that makes it better.
People in it.
That makes it better.
Maybe. So, any closing words, Jamie?
You know what? I just want to thank everybody. Thank our listeners. I mean, I know what are we at? 500 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, right?
Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, the Twitter people, fans that comment all the time. I mean, we probably still would be doing this if we had one follower. But you make it more fun by having more, and and the feedback is great. So I really want to thank our followers. I want to thank our guests, like you mentioned already, every single one of them, because you do have to take your time out to do this with us. It is usually late at night. Usually you got to watch a really crappy movie. So, so I want to thank you and absolutely thank the people behind the scenes in Hollywood, and in front of the camera that have given you time to do it. So, I mean, really just thanks all around.
And thank you for making the sequels that people, thank you for making 7 police academies, but the 6th one was pretty awesome. And don't forget, nobody's as mean as Gene. And don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.